Hi guys, this is Benjamin Zulu. Now, as you can see, we call it "oh man" with an exclamation. To be a man needs an exclamation. It requires a preparation. You have to attack the role. It's already a war. When they announce, it's a baby boy, that's a war cry. So we are here to brief us on how to fight. Because you are appointed leader without election, without nomination, without consultation. When you are born a man, you must lead, even if you don't feel like it. We are here to talk about that. Thank you, man.
Well, thank you very much for tuning in. This is your coach and your friend, Robert BURALE. Again, this is the best show in Eastern Central Africa, south of the Sahara, and north of Limpopo. This is the Old Man Show. As usual, we bring you great men with stories, men who can inspire, convict, and mentor. Men who have something that we all need to eat off their fruits. Today is no different. I have a very personal friend of mine, a great man in this land, a man who has changed mindsets, a pathfinder. He's a Kenyan with a South African name. None other than Mr. Benjamin Zulu, my brother.
Good
to see you, Wana. Karibu sana.
Thank you. Good to see you too.
Asante.
Yeah, this is a good platform. We need more of this.
Hallelujah.
These conversations are being long overdue.
Completely.
But the guys who should be conducting them are full of themselves. They don't think they don't need guidance by anyone.
It's true.
And yet there was a guy who was assuming kingdom. He was being given, Solomon was being given the kingdom. And he said, I am only a child. And that's when he was given instructions. Saul was demoted because he was told, when you were small in your own sight, I picked you. God will pick you when you know you're only a child, when you're small in your own sight, when you're humble enough to accept guidance. So I think this is the best place for us to come for guidance. And every man is a leader. If you have a family, you're a leader automatically.
Absolutely.
And every man must be a preacher in some way. You should be able to read a verse and pray for your family.
At least, huh? Now, of course, this is the Old Man Show, and I want us to talk a wide range of issues.
Exactly.
When I was a young man, when I was a child, I want us to talk to the young man, to the middle age, and to the older man. Benjamin, we have young men now, and they say, we hear this statement, boy child anaumizwa, boy child anaumizwa. But can we always be blaming other people? The time has come that we now need to face our own issues.
I've done a video I called to all the bearded boys in colleges.
Right. Wenyendevu.
This is what I was telling them. We have been modeled a sick, twisted form of masculinity. To show, the boys in the campus who think to show you a man, you should conquer several women, lay several women, convince a girl. It's like when you persuade a girl and sleep with her now, you have conquered. When you drink a whole crate without falling, you have conquered. When you bet against Chelsea Arsenal, it's about a sickness. So I was telling them, all that we have been guided to, and the beer companies who say, come drink at the table of men.
Of men. So we have a warped idea of what manhood is.
And I was telling them, if you follow that, you will end up where those who are advertising it ended up. Sickness. You hear cry about boy child because the man is behind the ladies in progress. So I told them, you remain being behind if you follow them. The solution is this: return to your true authenticity by one learning how to feel. It took me 5 years to be mentored by a man to learn how to feel. My father never mentored me. The relationship was, as many men relate to their sons, military. Hey, mwanaume, kwa hivyo umekuja, okay, go to work. There was no, there was no conversation, vulnerable conversation and laughter and validation. So I told them, you're going to learn how to be a balanced human being, a balanced man. If you learn to express yourself emotionally, to say you're angry instead of acting it out, to say you feel hungry, you're irritable, you're fatigued, instead of shouting at people. Because that's what we have seen. Our fathers come drunk, come frustrated, and they take it out instead of expressing. You say, man, I feel behind. It's like I've delayed that. I don't know what's happening, man. I'm not myself. That's how you're supposed to express anger. You're supposed to be vulnerable and acknowledge that you feel behind, feel defeated, forgotten, lost. And I tell all the rest of sons, let's start here. Many families today are headed by women. And I hope they're watching this show. I went to a place where first years, for months, were being recruited. And the principal told me, observe this group and see the problem I'm dealing with. It's a boys' school, but it's the ladies who bring them.
Okay. The fathers are not there.
Yes, many fathers, these are single ladies, or even when the father is there, he thinks it's the mother who is supposed to attend to the children. So I told them, we have been modeled, and we are the fathers today. And I tell us, everybody who has a son, teach them to express their emotions with words, not to act it out, because men either blow out or they pull out. When men are frustrated, when men are angry, when men are not getting their way, many of them blow out and become violent, or they pull out, become quiet, stop talking, stop conversing, they stop texting, stop being present, and they are detached from the family. The only place they're active is when they're watching football, when they're with the boys in the club. That's sickness. I told them the right way, and we still have healthy fathers, but the healthy fathers are not being focused on because they're not sensational. Today's media does not focus on health, focuses on sickness. When the dog bites the man, that's not news. When the man bites the dog, that's news.
And social media as well.
Exactly. They want what is sensational, what draws attention. So they end up promoting sickness and twistedness. Have you observed, my brother, that we have a lot of negative men on social media? Men especially.
Why is that, Benjamin?
Men especially are very bitter. You post anything, and they're the ones who come up with the most bitter, angry things. And I'll tell you the solution.
That's a sad truth. It is the truth.
Men are focused on negativity. And on Facebook, Facebook has free mode, many things. So it attracts a lot of idlers and negative people. YouTube, they are in a small number because you need a lot of bundles to...
So there's free mode on Facebook?
Yes.
Yes. So you have all sorts of characters.
A lot of characters.
So why are men bitter? Because
of failure. One, they're very intimidated. Instead of competing with women, they get angry that they're being overtaken. When you finish class 8, the person who topped was a girl. She had 463 in my group, 463 or 500. And I did not even have 400 myself. And I told them, I'm happy she has shown me what is possible. But I want you to mark somewhere. I told them, I want you to mark somewhere. By the time we get our degree, 10 years from now, I'll be ahead of her. I told them, this girl, if you'll hear who will be ahead of me, whether she goes to be accountant or editor, if she keeps the pace, you should see how much waves she's making. But I told them I'll overtake everyone because I just want to find my path. Instead of men responding the way I responded by acknowledging the challenge and saying, I must pull up my socks next time.
We want to fight.
We get angry. We get bitter. We start brandishing all men, all women, brandishing people. And I told you the funny thing in social media and Facebook. You find a person insulting dignitaries, and they themselves have no innerwear. They have no shoes. They have no rent. They're sleeping. They're accommodated by a girlfriend. They have no money, no pocket money, no nothing. And they can spew bile against dignitaries. You see them on social media. People who failed and got nothing in school, who have failed in carpentry, they can't make anything of their life. Instead of learning from people who are successful, they start brandishing them. So one problem we have men is, instead of acknowledging their own shortcomings, they try to pull you down because you're doing well. The group that you have on social media, and I keep telling those of us who are in public space, guard your space. Remove these idiots. Remove them from your space. Don't let them shout, because they shout so much until those who wanted to learn cannot learn. It's the work of
so they divert attention to their noise.
It's the work of a good host to make sure that the guests have peace. Don't let drunk people come shouting. Get security. Get a team that ejects them, so the group that wants to learn can learn. Those who shout and they have nothing to learn, nothing to lose, they'll cause chaos. They're like terrorists. They have nothing to safeguard. No integrity, no dignity, no nothing. They use fake accounts, fake names. They're behind a false screen. So they keep spewing bile. Even God himself says he will get rid of them. He's waiting for his time to distinguish goats from sheep. Do the same in your space. If you want to teach, can you have a stand? You only want respectful criticism. People disagree with you respectfully, the right attitude. Those ones, no problem.
Not abuses.
That's not a person who comes spewing bile. So men in particular are very angry, very bitter, because they have no success of their own. Do you know most people who are busy, they have no time to spew bile? They can't type that nonsense. They're busy with their life. They have a career building. They have a business. They have something they're studying. Most of the people type paragraphs upon paragraphs of madness. They are narcissists. They are idle. They are sick. Always get rid of them. And I keep telling people, once you get in the personal space, in public space, put a fence around your home. Gorillas should not jump in. Put electric fence against snakes. Exactly. Make sure those who come in are your guests.
Benjamin, you said some men are bitter because they've been overtaken.
Exactly.
And we cannot blame the women for...
She will not slow down because you are slow.
Now, what happened to the men that we started sleeping? Where is the problem? Yes, we've grown up being told, mwanaume ni kujikaza, don't cry, don't do this. So what happened that we got to a place as men that we slackened and the world just overtook us.
And
That's where the problem is.
Let me start with a funny statistic. When I started working, I thought the general men, in general, a lot of men are asleep. But I've come up with a very happy, relieving statistic. Only half of men are asleep.
Right.
Of all my statistics, when I move places, looking at my funds, I have half of men. Like every time I get one negative man, there's another one who is very positive.
Absolutely.
Only that men are not verbal only. Positive, healthy men don't type a lot. They don't respond a lot. They learn quietly. They discuss it. When you meet in person, they tell you, I follow everything you post, but I've never commented.
Yes. Yes. I've actually experienced that kind of...
Men have a very funny trait. Good men learn in silence. They learn. That's why I keep asking people, when did Jesus call 12 out of 12 men? Even the role of the traitor was given a man.
Judas.
Because women would follow voluntarily without titles. He was given the titles to men. They needed to perform.
So men need titles.
When men introduce themselves, they introduce titles. Yeah, my name is Benjamin. I'm the CEO of the development committee. But women introduce family. Hi, my name is Margaret. I'm my grandmother of one, mother of two. They introduce family. Women followed Jesus and stayed there until crucifixion, went to anoint the body. There's no guy calling perfume to go and perfume and dead body, dead, done and dusted. So Jesus was working with the psychology of men. They needed that to perform, and he had no problem with it. He is not worried about titles, he's worried about service. Women rendered service. Even Paul was supported by women without titles. So I was telling you, we have men who have, men are so positively learning, only that they are not loud. And when you become a public teacher, remember that group. It's very big, but they don't talk a lot. They don't like the argument and the negativity space. I have a lot of men who are themselves preachers. They use my content a lot. And when we meet, they tell men, we're working in the same ministry. Only we don't get talk a lot, but I am with you, man.
We are not vocal.
So from today, I want you to acknowledge that group. Always say, why are some men negative? Why are some men behind? Why are some men? I realized that the hard way myself. The negative group is given too much attention. There's a time I walked into a church over, I think you are here with Pastor Tim Wangis, my friend.
Yes.
Those are the buddies, man. That's the club I'm telling you about.
Great
that
people.
guy is deep. He's a master in his thing.
Right.
So I visited his church and I met many in the company. They were just working, cleaning, and there are many of them. And suddenly we had a men meeting without planning. They were so happy to see me. They learn from my content, but they're not vocal online there. The negative men are the vocal ones. So we have men who are learning and evolving. We have a crop of men who have been looking for guidance and coaching. If you look at your growing and my growing, we grew up looking for teachers. We had to outsource from all over the world because locally we could not find people who are culturally we could relate. So that's why we became teachers, to give people who is culturally relatable. So we have a lot of men who are growing. My advice to them is this. Men are being told boy child is behind. It's not every boy child who is behind. I keep telling us, men, make sure you are ahead of your wife some mile. Jesus went a stone throw ahead. Make sure you go a stone throw ahead. Sometimes it's not financially because you're not competitors, you are a team when it comes to finances. But in terms of leadership, thoughts, ideas, concepts, knowledge, Bible, prayer, the depth in God. I want to teach my wife things of God. God taught Adam the Bible without Eve, so that he can give Adam a teaching monopoly to Eve, to give you relevance.
He was ahead with the information.
Make sure you wake up ahead of your wife. She should not leave you in bed. She will leave you behind in life. She has a head start. Time. Life is made of time. When I have 1 hour, I make sure we can go to bed at the same time, but I will stagger myself out of bed earlier to study, to hear what God wants the family to do, to hear what is next for us, so they can have a teaching authority. So women will not submit to somebody who is below them in everything. How can you submit to somebody who can't lead you? Submission comes from authority. I follow when you are worthy following. This is practical. This is not, women of today are not submitting. They can't submit to confusion, to weakness, to incompetence, to sleepiness, to laziness. Make sure you have time to study, to hear God more, so that your wife can find it insightful. Have you noticed that our sisters, even if it's not your wife, sometimes the ladies in your life, the sisters also call you teacher, they ask you verses they could have Googled.
Very true.
Tell me about that verse about, and you're thinking, if it were me, I would have just Googled. But she enjoys it when she hears it from you. Women are happier to follow. Google is not a person, it's a thing. They'd rather hear it from you.
But they will not follow confusion.
Exactly.
Benjamin, what do we do? I see young men, because I want us to talk to these young men. They are the so-called the leaders of tomorrow. young men now, you see them on social media, all they're doing is posting photos and videos smoking shisha and this and that, and using vulgar languages and wearing tight trousers and showing their strongholds. Does that mean that the people who they were looking, are there many broken men who are trying to fix themselves, so there's nobody to help these young people? So what do?
Do you know we only need 20% of men to be healthy? The Pareto principle of 20% of results of men, of people, produce 80% of the results. In most contexts, 80% of fruits, the economy, the GDP, the health, the leadership is coming from 20% of the people. Me and you, 2 out of 10. These men don't need every man to be healthy. They are looking. They actually, have you noticed that those who love learning, those who belong to the way, Jesus was teaching and he said, it was actually Paul saying, those who are destined to the way heard him. You will talk, but only those who are destined
will hear you.
Will hear you. So there was a program called Machachari, and the former actors were, some of them were posting their girlfriends, the boys, and all of them are pre-25s, they're under 25s. And somebody commented there, one of them refused to date. He said, I'm still too young, I'm 21, I want to grow up fast. Somebody told them, yeah, I think you follow the philosophy of Kina Benjamin Zulu, that they say people should grow up fast. And I liked it, said, even where we are not, our message will go there.
Somehow it will get there.
Let me tell you, don't worry about those who are parading these madness, sickness, and drunkenness, and baby mama after baby mama. I did a video about the outbreak of young baby daddies. Don't worry about that group. You continue teaching message and they will come to you. Those who are called to the way. Remember, it's easier to drink. It's easier to have sex. Indiscipline is easier. Those who have a calling and a sense of focus, they themselves will follow you. I keep telling men this. Discipline, you're not being disciplined for God. You're not even being disciplined for your parents. You're not being disciplined for your friends. You're being disciplined for yourself. Guard your heart with all diligence, for out of it flow the issues of life. When a man behaves, when a man restrains himself, he has peace to sleep at night. When I start teaching men why we must be chaste and be focused on one woman, I tell them the one reason is peace, so that you can sleep at night.
Right.
You need peace at night. When you have baby mama here, baby mama there, they're fighting over you, you can't sleep, you can't rest. There's chaos in your space. That's why you have success without satisfaction. You have cars, popularity, fame, and the name, and the money, but you can't rest. The Bible says there's no peace for the wicked. Like sea that tosses up mire and dirt, you will be restless. If you obey God, he says, my yoke is easy. You know, the rules of God look strict when you're an outsider. When you're insider, you know this is the only home I can have.
Very easy.
Let me tell you something, brother. I can sleep. That's one thing I enjoy. When I go to bed, I sleep. I have one woman to deal with. I have no corners to beat, no underthings to play. I feel the temptation, but I know the costs of those things. They'll remove me from my calling. They'll cost me years. You build. And then one time, you Samson, you move into a city because you're strong to break out. And you sleep with a halot.
You meet Delilah.
And then you get out and you actually pluck out the gate and you go throw it to the mountain to punish them. And you can sleep with whoever you want and nobody can stop you. You're very powerful. That habit, usually men are not ruined by the sin, they're ruined by the habit. It's not the mistake that ruins you, it's the repetition, the habit of doing it. So he went on with the habit until he met the wrong kind of woman who actually sold him to the enemies. So the thing I tell men is that we need to do this for our own sake. Our life is short. We don't have eternity. If you are aware about your calling, the empire you want to build, how you want to teach the public, how you want, the systems you want to innovate, the things you want to bring, you build them. People like Zuckerberg, you don't hear them for having 20 wives or sleeping everywhere. You hear them for the innovation they make. And some of these people are not even serving God. They're just obeying the calling, the instinct, the gifts God gave them. What about you now who has a God to answer to, who is conscious of eternity? That is the reason you need to be disciplined and zip up. I tell men we must zip up, down and above. Don't tell a woman you love them. Don't promise carelessly. Wait until you meet the one you're destined for. So those ones you are hearing about polluting the space, you're looking for attention and likes and bringing cameras to their bedroom and showing how they live. And no. This cheap attention. Things that last require depth. Not just, I'm taking tea today, so come film me. This is how we take tea. Me and my wife, this is how we bought. That's vanity.
Why are we raising this kind of men now?
Because we likes. They want likes.
So there's no depth.
No. The content they're posting now will be irrelevant in 1 month, in 2 months, in 3 months. Even the songs they're singing. They have no Bible. They have no depth. They have no longevity. Why do we sing hymns that are 100 years old? Because they were based in the Bible and they were deep. And the guys who sang them were singing about a world they can see. I keep telling Christians, if you call yourself a Christian and you don't feel homesick for heaven, you are not a Christian.
Hold on to that. If you call yourself a Christian and you don't feel homesick for heaven, you're not a Christian. Well, he shoots it straight from the hip. Heavy in content. Yes, even sometimes he's humorous, but the depth of his content, you can never miss it. Well, this is the Omen Show. See you after the break. Well, thank you for keeping it here. This is your host, Mr. Robert BURALE, and this is the Omen Show. Every time you have Mr. Benjamin Zulu, you can be sure of one thing: fireworks. The second one, fireworks. The third one, more fireworks. And today we're delving into matters men, the boy child. Men need to have depth. Mr. Zulu.
All my disciples have told them, I don't want you to at the real life show of Robert showing how he wears his shoes.
There's no depth in that. I mean, it doesn't help us, does it?
Well, that's celebrity drama. Forget it. Show me how you have solved a crisis in your life. One thing I liked about you, and I told you, we don't have teachers who have experienced failure to explain it to us. When your people tried marriage and marriage didn't work, they go under. So those who are facing the same failure, they don't have anybody to follow.
Absolutely.
The one thing I told people is you need 2 rules in your life. You're going to be either happily married or happily single. Never miserably single or miserably married. It's a happiness, it's a fulfillment. It's a freedom to follow your calling that counts. In the Bible, we have many women who were counted as if they were the single mother, like Zeruiah. Zeruiah was the mother of Asahel, Joab, but we do not count them and Abishai, the 3 mighty men of David. Yes. But we do not emphasize that Zeruiah was a woman, so that the church, we don't like preaching those side of, so that we don't appear like we are promoting
this. Yes. Yet things are happening.
What I like about you is you have soldiered on and told men that you can be happy after divorce.
Yes.
That message is very rare in today's. People say God hates divorce, but I tell them he does not hate divorcees, and neither does he like abuse. Neither does he. And again, the marriages that you cannot say God hates divorcees. The marriage was not godly in the first place. The foundation must be godly for him to want to sustain it. Yes, thank you. Absolutely. So I tell them there's a part of when there's a man you've gone through things that are not common. You still want to decide that I want to follow my calling. I want to have a fulfilling life. I want to continue to shine despite everything. There are people whose path did not follow the natural path. When you look at Paul was living a life that was very unpopular. He was not married and he needed to teach people. So I'm sure he had a lot of critics. You can tell us nothing about marriage. No wonder you kept on answering, okay, I'm not married, but this one is from God. Some things I can...
Absolutely. You know, and Benjamin, you've talked about failure.
Yes.
Personally, I've gone through failure.
Yes.
But I have this way of God leading me on how to get over that failure.
You're right.
And turn it into good.
You're right.
Why do men struggle with failure?
Because
some men go into depression, and we're going to touch on depression.
You're right.
But we don't know how to bounce back from failure. The majority of the men, not all men. What is the problem?
Because we have been taught to think like to be a man, you must be winning every time. All right? David had a failure, an embarrassing one. But he still finished his story very gloriously. One of my favorite verses, and I liked it to be the epithet on my grave when I finally die, is that Psalms 72. The last verse says, the prayers of David, the son of Jesse, are ended. All right? And when they concluded his life, he said, David, the sweet psalmist of Israel, rested with his fathers. All right? Despite the failures in the middle of his life, he still rose up and worshipped God. He was whipped for it, but he continued in glory, and he ended very well. He started, failed. Saul never walked from his failures. David walked from his failures, and he went on to be called. The son of our Savior is called after David, despite the failures. You can have a glorious story after many failures, but this is not the message that is not being broadcasted. Personally, when I was in law school, I was feeling lost. You know, there's a unit I failed and resat it. And I could tell, let me trudge through law, but this is only a starting point. This is not my staying point. This is not where I will shine. It was a failure for me. It's a brilliant cause. The society expected me to succeed. Mutula Kalonzo and Kalonzo Musyoka, they wanted me to be the next big name in law. But I'm failing though. They still call me names. Hey, you disappointed us. I did not even go for the advocate training program. I felt lost. I have failed the sting of failure. When my classmates are graduating, being given robes, me, I'm driving motorbike, doing boda, selling sweets in matatus. I was feeling lost.
Did you do that?
Ah, my brother, I have been to the rock bottom.
So allow me to go deeper there.
Yes.
Because many see Benjamin Zulu now.
Yeah.
And there's a young boy saying, I will be Benjamin Zulu next year. I'm going to take that space and advise people.
Exactly.
You have sold sweets.
So we finished our degree in 2011, waiting to graduate 2012. 2012, we finished early 2012, waiting to graduate. But I knew this is not my future. And I don't become an advocate. The courtroom is too small for me. My energy is explosive. So I register quickly myself from a master's of a different field, a master of divinity. But I have no degree, I have no money. So I lack fees and I drop out. When I drop out, start there, drop out.
Another failure.
So, the whole of 2013, I'm a bit of a lost soul. I try this business, fails. I try motorbike, the boda, it fails. I don't get enough money. Sometimes I knock a guy's car and he takes all the money I had made all of that day. We sell fruits. We left Nairobi, me and a few friends of mine. We were trying to put up something, be successful, you know. We left Nairobi, tried selling sweets. I woke up in the morning to sell tea, to sell mandazis. In the meantime, I'm learning intensely. I'm listening to all messages and summons I can find. There's a time I finished the whole of Nairobi city, CDs at INTERSTING. I finished them. I was waiting for what he's preaching on Sunday. Listen to that. There must be a hunger, even when you are in struggling times. Those down times are usually prep times. Looking back, I was counting how I'm failing in terms of making money, making progress. God was investing the content I needed, the principles I needed, the depth I needed. I had so much hunger that I could hardly sleep. Even when I'm waiting for sleep to come, I'm playing something on the phone. All my money was going to bundles and downloading things and getting CDs. And I would look for Wi-Fi to download content and carry it and everything. I was just learning. So I can tell you whether a man is really failing or is just going through phases depending on his hunger to learn. Because the time you have to learn is short. You must use it very concentrated manner. I did not know the principle of mastery that takes 9 to 10 years. Started learning in 2011. People heard of me in 2020 last year. That's exactly 10 years. So mastery takes 10 years. God was taking me through a progress, but there was no teacher to tell me what is going on. I could only do guesswork. One reason I teach passionately is to give a map to people, to give them hope that they are on course, that they're not lost. So it's true, I felt lost in my first degree, and that's when I established 60% of the graduates in Kenya don't like what they study. They don't practice it. That's not their heart. Because when they were choosing the degrees, there was no guide to tell them who they are versus who they are doing. They were just being told, law is famous, do BCom, do CPA, you find a job in this. This is not marketable. They're not being told who you are versus where you're going versus what is this. All right? Churchill did education. Why don't they teach comedy? Yet it is the one employing largest numbers. There's no Bachelor of Arts in a stage comedy.
And I want to stick there a little bit. Benjamin, you are lost. You don't have money to do your master's in divinity. You're on border. But there's a young man who is also lost and listening to you. And they're like, wow, so there's hope for me. But let's go through that process. Who are you hanging around with? Because a few other people must have played a part. Who we hang around with also has some repercussions or consequences.
One compulsory thing you must have is a mentor. I had a guy who had a stable family and a stable career. He was still evolving himself. And would go speaking in high schools and weekend challenges. And he was very available for me and for a group of others. We had a mentorship group that would meet every week, study books, analyze content, study things, and we would live together so that we can raise the rent. For about 5 of us. We are staying together to study materials, wake up in the morning, study the Bible. We did round studies of the Bible about 6 times during that time, Genesis to Revelation. We wanted to know, are we on course? What is God saying? Where are we? At the same time, I was analyzing materials. There's some materials you must study that are not especially gospel, but they are related to your career. Like I wanted to know principles of psychology. Why are people making blunders? I kept seeing marriages blowing up. In Africa, we have the biggest number of people getting children without planning, marriages breaking. I wanted to know, what are we getting wrong? Why are we still behind? And yet people like Hungary, we started the same time with some countries and they left us. What happened? So I had a strong interest in knowing the decisions we're making and how they're impacting us. So I was around mentorship, I was around growth, fellowship, I was about, you will know, they say when the gods will destroy a man, they start by isolating him, start by making him mad, thinking that he's so, I can predict where a man is going depending on how connected he is to fellow men. When you look at Elisha and Elijah, look at stories like, when you look at everywhere.
Paul and Timothy.
Yes, when you look at every place where a person would go far, you will see a lot of teachability, a lot of learning, a lot of coaching, a lot of hunger. But remember what I told me. Once you reach 30, once you reach the point where you're starting your career, you retire all parent figures, all authority figures. Start learning by being the leader of your life now. You get married, you start your career, you're the one in charge now. You don't cross-check your decision with anybody except your partner. You learn, you go to church, you learn, you study, but you do not stay under another man. Your time is short. I keep telling them, your time of changing this life is about 30 years. I usually say 30 to 60, the highest level of energy. That's when you can do a lot. That's when your health is the best. That's why I tell them, during that time, make sure you are the one calling the shots in your life. You and your partner, you are a sovereign unit. But before then, when you are 18, 20, 25, immerse yourself intensely. Get into church intensely. Go for caches. Study the books. Study the Bible. Go to the industry. Take yourself there. There are no jobs being advertised, but if you show your competence, if you come and show your competence for free, you'll be the first one to be regarded when an opportunity opens up. Many of the opportunities I found myself, it was not applying through CV. I was just available and competent.
Absolutely. I was talking to Mr. T and Moji Shotbaba here about mentorship. We have young men now who feel they have made it. They have social media likes. When they show videos of them drinking coffee, everybody's commenting. So they feel they don't need mentors. Please speak to those people.
Remember, when you show shallow content, it will get fleeting attention. All right? The content that needs, that remains. When you look at things that were done by artists who knew their thing, like Mr. Bean, you know, Rowan Atkinson.
Yes.
That guy did things that have like classic all time, entertaining families. But look at the depth of his work. So if you just show people doing normal things, they will see it because they wanted to see you, but it will be fleeting. The next generation doesn't know you. So if you get attention because of your personality, it will go away. But if you get attention because of the depth of insight, how deeply it affects people, touches them deeply, it will remain. So how to get that kind of content? Don't sing a song because you felt a mood, because you experienced a breakup, because you just songs that have no depth and roots. Produce sermons, messages, songs, and posts that are coming from depth, research, aimed at enriching the people, not bringing attention to you. So this celebrity wave is very brief, doesn't last, and it will have no legacy at all. That's why we have flashes. People go up, they become famous, come down, because they stopped working. They stopped, and let's also warn those who start as gospel musicians.
Speak to us.
Many gospel musicians don't have a relationship with God. Gospel is an industry to them. It's a market, because they know Christians will buy anything that touches God. But it has no depth of God. It has no relationship with God. You can't con God. It's only a matter of time, and the reality of, how shallow you are will be exposed. The best thing is, take a while. The reason they rush to it because it will get money quickly. But those who start by cultivating godliness, building, studying the Bible, being a friend of God. God is like a friend like me and you. How we converse,
right.
How much we understand each other, how we trust each other. That's how the relationship is. How much do you trust God? How much do you converse? How much do you listen to Him? How much do you know Him? How much do you follow Him? How frequently do you converse? How do you build that? And the few songs you will sing from that will last for eternity.
Like the Ruben Kigames and all that.
Once they get out of that depth of their walk with God, it will be like hymns to minister to generations. And you'll be eating from that for many years. The next thing you should tell me is how we should help Christian men to organize their finances. Many of them are broke throughout.
And screaming amen every Sunday.
It's embarrassing because they keep sending you texts to borrow you money. And they preach to you, but they have no fare. They're not organized financially. This is okay when you're starting out in life because of no, but the more you evolve, the more you must organize your finances and to realize you will need money and organize it. And I keep telling, especially those who are serving like ministers and they have a title, like pastor, I keep advising my disciples, avoid using those titles because you're locked in boxes. And unless you're called to be an evangelist, pastor, bishop, apostle, avoid them. Just be Benjamin, just be Robert. So that you can charge your services. When you call evangelist anything, they'll expect you to give for free.
Kwa neema ya Bwana.
Tuombe.
Mungu akubariki.
How will you dress? How will you meet your needs? How will you maintain the standard? Money answers everything.
Well, he has said it, not me, Mr. Benjamin Zulu. Money answers everything. I will see you after the break because on the tail end of this show, we want now to add some more flame into the fireworks. See you after the break. This is the All Man Show. Well, his name is Benjamin, his other name is Zulu, but his third name is Mr. Fireworks. Fourth name, Content is King. Benjamin, we've had, I think I would need an extra hour with you.
I know.
Men don't talk. The percentage of suicides the world over is men. The population of prisons, the greater percentage are men. They said in America sometime that somebody goes for a job interview and says, my name is so-and-so, and I have never been to prison. Well, you're not supposed to be in prison in the first place. But that is a point of, you know what, I have never been to prison, so give me this job. So why are men not talking? Why are men struggling with depression? Why are men the greater percentage of suicide? Is it because we don't trust each other?
One of the explanations is spiritual. The boy child has been hunted from the word go. The first family lost two men. One killed the other. One was buried, another one was excommunicated. The first mother lost two sons. Where was the father? God had to come and mediate the two sons. That first father was deadbeat. His wife was taught as someone by the snake when the guy is just around and sleepy. When the wife started to apply the sermon of tasting what God refused, he gave the guy. We have had that spiritual fight where he says, I will strike everything that pieces against the wall. The men. Men are being killed. They don't fall in church. When you pray for a group in church, the women fall down. Men don't fall there. The women roll. You pray for them, they deliver, they go home. The man will not fall here. He falls in the grave. He falls in the bar. He falls in the brothel. Men fall, but not where they can be delivered. They fall where they will die for good.
Ukimwekelea mkono anakata. He stands firm.
Exactly.
Sianguki.
Women are open for vulnerable. They're open for teaching. They're open for deliverance, for assistance. That's why they receive. But when women were captured in Ziklag, when the enemy captures women, he just wants to capture them. But with men, he kills. All right? So they will kill all the men, capture the women and children. All right? So the first reason is to tell men you are a hunted species. From the time you are born. The time they mention it's a baby boy, all the guns are brought to you. Advise couples to stop praying for boys too much. There are men who hate the women because they're not giving me a son. Bringing up a son requires twice or thrice the effort. Girls are loyal to their parents throughout life. They keep
I'm a
sending...
lucky man with my daughter.
Bro, be happy.
I'm very happy.
Don't force the agenda of a son.
I'm very happy. I'm very happy, Benjamin. Mimi niko sawa kabisa.
Daughters are usually more loyal throughout life. They keep sending money even when they're married. They support their families.
Right.
Boys have a tendency to abandon you and you will die miserable because you have 5 sons.
Benjamin, you are, in my books, one of the greatest counselors we have in this country.
Thank you, man. I'm very humbled.
And I said that very seriously. But do you have men who are 100% vulnerable when they come to you? Or I've had somebody in New Zealand, one of the greatest psychologists there, he says by the time a man is coming, he's almost crawling towards his deathbed. Yani mwanaume ndio akuje aitishe usaidizi, he's almost bleeding to death.
First of all, although I studied psychology, I practice more as a life coach.
Yes.
To avoid dealing with the crisis only.
Yes.
Psychologists are associated with mental illness. Although we deal with life, we try to avoid having to visit them.
Yes.
We associate them with the crisis, and I'm a life coach to deal with life before it becomes a crisis. If I show you my chart this morning, one guy came to my inbox telling me, man, I'll be your Elisha. I'm following your footsteps. I like the way you handle issues, man. You have helped me see I can handle life. I have a lot of men who tell me, boy, I'm after you. Quietly, but I'm following. I have a lot of men who lead their families differently, are dating differently. And I keep telling men, one reason men are collapsing is because when you marry wrong, she has the higher say. When you marry a weaker woman, a conflicted woman, who is not a wife material, but a wild material.
Not a wife material, but a wild material. In fact, as you stick there a bit, there's a man who wants to get married, there's a man who is dating, there's a man who is asking, is this the right woman? What are some of the things that our men need to avoid? That the telltale signs, the red flags.
Don't date college women. Don't date college girls. They don't know themselves. You don't know what you're dealing with. She might evolve to a wild thing.
Don't date college women.
Don't date a woman.
So who will date them?
Don't date a woman. They're not supposed to be dating. Don't date a woman who is 24 and below. the prefrontal, the brain matures at 25. That's when their personality becomes evident. The average age is 25. Some will reach 26, others earlier 24. But date women who are at least 25 and above, you know what you're dealing with. Men date girls because if you give her 500, she's convinced 1,000 because she doesn't have money of her own. But soon she'll get her own money. And then you realize you have lost relevance. Deal with a woman who knows herself so that you know what you're dealing with. So the first thing, avoid pre-25s. And you as a man don't date when you are not that yet. Many men are 28, 27, 26. They don't know where they're going. Especially military. They join military and get money and get job when they're young. They think they're mature now.
And they're not ready.
Marriages of military men are crashing because the job deceived them to think they are ready. You see, they're trained for a short time. After Form 4, when you're 19, 2 years, 3 years, you're already in money and you're 21.
Right.
I have a brother-in-law is military, and I warned him, be very careful. You know they're given the illusion of power. They have a gun. Authority. Illusion of power. And when they walk around everybody, because they're cleaned up, they look disciplined. They're very so they have admirers all over. And they think they're mature now. Then their parents tell them, marry quickly so that other women don't eat your money.
And they're not ready yet. They haven't matured yet.
He's a child.
But I want to know these women we need to avoid.
Okay. So
college women.
So,
now.
Exactly. The other thing is, a good woman brings peace. Please, if you look for peace, you will never get trouble. Imagine that.
Yes.
Imagine that. You need a woman who is at peace, a calm spirit. It's the first sign of godliness. Although we like to imagine the one who's singing and bringing goosebumps in church. One who's that's charisma, that's talent.
Right.
Anybody can do that. Singing is not bad, but you don't marry her because she sings well. You're not going to form a choir. You're looking for a wife.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Many of them go to the spotlight in church to be seen. They enjoy the attention. It's not a character. All right. So I told you, I tell men, it's okay to marry from the pulpit, but you are safer in the pews. All right. Get most characters out of limelight. The Sunday school teacher, the usher. You know those ministries that are not glorious.
Yes.
You can still have a very good woman from the praise and worship.
Of course.
But I'm saying you don't pick her because of singing. Are we together? Pick her because of her character on Wednesday.
Not Sunday. Wow.
Pick her because one thing I liked with my girl, I saw her first picture on Facebook. She looked peaceful. Imagine that. Imagine that.
Picture too.
By the searching today has gone online. If you're searching offline, you're lost. People are being locked in their houses because of online corona, masks, everything. How do you start conversation when you're eating?
So peace.
Please, if you go wrong on everything else, and the reason I'm emphasizing peace is because you look at the legs, the boobs, the shape.
After some time, they disappear.
The butterflies.
They start hanging.
That's important. I was attracted by how she looked, but the one thing I picked, she looked peaceful. You need peace as a man. The one thing you will do most, the next thing you need a woman, you can converse. Can you have conversations on anything? There are girls who are peaceful, quiet, but they are empty. She's intimidated by your knowledge. You know, I did a course that is feared. Law is very feared. There's some courses that when you date from that, the same thing with being a minister. When you're a minister, people put you in a box. There are girls who swear they'll never marry a pastor. They swear. I don't know that you try to get a wife, I can assist you, but one of the simple rules is,
right.
Avoid anybody who, they should recognize you as a man of God, but they should not be too afraid and worshipful.
They give you a false sense of power.
You need a person you can converse.
On Wednesday.
Exactly. And you can challenge each other. You can have a talk. People might admire me out here. My wife also appreciates me, but she's my colleague, first of all. Right. She's not my worshipper. Right. No. She's my colleague. She can tell me what to do differently, what to correct. She believes me, encourages me. The same thing I do to her. I see her potential. I appreciate her for who she is, but I also see what she can become and keep stretching her to become that. That mixture of a person accepting you for who you are and still encouraging you to become who you can become, that's what you need in a wife. That's what you need in a wife. Men want worship. They want a girl who just always worshiping you. One day she will start dating the Shamba boy because they're in the same class. They're closer than she is closer with you. Huh? Mindset matters. The first connection is mental. The first connection is conversation. What couples do most is not sex. It's conversation. Talking is what we do most about everything. Chatting, walking around, discussing this. Talking. If you can't have a conversation, don't try to marry. It won't work. Even if the chemistry is explosive. And I keep warning men against explosive chemistry. Explosive chemistry doesn't show connection. It shows taboo, forbidden, sinful. Healthy connection is peaceful, exciting, childlike, pure.
You can have a
miss them.
conversation.
You miss them, you talk, you enjoy. But it's not, oh my God, will she like me? Has she texted? When I'm meeting next. I wonder what she meant to say that. Did she like me? And
Peaceful.
don't have sex outside. Don't have sex with a woman before you marry her.
Oh, absolutely.
You may think you're on top and she's down, but she's the one controlling the game. Remember I told you if you connect a tuk-tuk and a Mercedes-Benz, it's the tuk-tuk that dictates the pace.
It's true. Hard reality.
If you sleep with a woman, although
You're on top.
she's the one controlling the pace.
Even if sometimes she's on top, she's still controlling the pace. Did I just say that, Benjamin? Ladies and gentlemen, I want to say thank you. I mean, I can't believe time has just flown like that. I'm hoping my producer will allow us to have 2 hours next time, and we have some nice chicken and amaluya, so I'll make sure there's chicken and
You all right?
Benjamin Zulu, if you could get yourself anything, what would you get?
All right, I'll get myself what? What I wanted to know was what I'm supposed to do on earth. I wanted better cars, but today I want a car that takes me to my calling.
Where is the worst place you'd get stuck?
On traffic jam,
What would you do with 50 minutes of fame?
I would preach the gospel.
Where would you go if you were invisible?
Where would I go? I've always wanted to go to Cuba.
What is your favorite meal?
Oh, Githeri.
What is the one thing you own that you wish you didn't?
One thing I own that I wish I didn't. A very huge jeans trouser.
Do you have a song that reminds you of a relationship? If yes, what is that song?
This is a Rose Mwando song that says tabu zangu zikiisha, and I think I was dating a girl that time that I should not have been dating.
How many books have you read so far this year?
Countless men. Oh, this year. Make them 5.
Who have you met that you wish you didn't?
A guy who snatched my wife's phone.
What is the worst job that you could have?
Oh, worst job? 8 to 5.
What is the thing you're most afraid of?
Dying before my purpose, man.
If you could paint anything, what would you paint?
I would paint a picture of heaven.
What is the most interesting thing that you have in your wallet?
A photo, a passport photo of my wife.
Thank you very much, Mr. Zulu. I told you, his name is Benjamin, which is Kenyan, but his second name is South African, Zulu. But the universal name, and I tell him today, is Mr. Fireworks. Heavy in content, funny as funny could be, but one of the greatest friends and one of the greatest people you'd ever want to meet. Please also get in touch with him in his social media platforms and get somebody who can tell you where you need to go. Life coach, one of the best that we have in this country and beyond. Well, this is your friend and your coach, Robert BURALE, and this is the what?
Oh, man.
The Old Man Show. Thank you for watching. See you next week.